Conic sections. I'll show you, end up showing you a video about conic sections, but conic sections, when you slice up a cone, there are certain properties and certain shapes that end up happening, that these are the conic sections that we're going to be talking about. So the first one that I'm going to show you is the parabola. You guys have been working on learning some of the tricks of parabolas probably since 7th or 8th grade. But notice, if this were a coordinate plane right there, if you have a parabola facing upwards, it would look something like this. That would be the equation. Or you might actually see y equals x squared plus 2x minus 5, or some other random quadratic. That would be a parabola facing upwards. Now, for the parabola to be facing downwards, there would just be a negative sign in front of the x squared. All right, and notice this dashed line right here and this dot. That dot is what is called the focus. And the dashed line underneath the parabola is called the directrix. And you guys will learn how to find those. We also, something you haven't worked with yet, is parabolas that open to the left and to the right. So in these cases, this would be the equation of the positive facing parabola opening in the positive direction. X is equal to y squared. Notice up above, when it's an upward facing, it's y is equal to x squared. And then if it's the negative facing in the negative direction, x is equal to negative y squared. That is the parabola. So 4 different situations for one type of conic section. The next type of conic section is going to be, and then here, let me do this so we don't have to look at that any longer. The next type of conic section would be circles. Notice this is the equation of a circle. X squared plus y squared equals r squared. If it's centered at the origin, meaning if you had a circle centered at the origin, that's not a very good circle, this would be the equation. If you had a circle that's not centered on the origin, it would look something like this. This subtract h, subtract k would be the x and y coordinates of the origin. So there's just 2 different situations if you are learning about circles. Okay, the next type of conic section, ellipses. Now circles are a certain type of ellipse, but ellipse is this elongated shape, and notice this dot and this dot, those would be the foci. Each one is a focus individually, and then if an ellipse has 2, we call them the foci. You can have an ellipse that is longer horizontally, and this the a squared would be larger, the a value would be larger than the b value. So this shape is when a is greater than b and they're greater than 0. In the case where the ellipse is longer vertically, that is when the b is greater than the a, which is greater than 0. All right, and then finally, we have what are called hyperbolas. And what they kind of look like are parabolas that face away from each other, 2 parabolas. They're not. They're called hyperbolas, and there are going to be some interesting pieces that you need to know. But here is the basic formula of a hyperbola that is facing towards the x-axis, towards the left and the right. It's x squared subtract y squared is equal to 1. And notice the x squared is over a squared, the y squared is over b squared. If the hyperbola is facing towards the y-axis, opening up and down, notice the y squared is subtracting the x squared. And when it's y squared subtract x squared, notice the b squared follows the y squared. So it's y squared over b squared subtract x squared over a squared, which is equal to 1. And what I didn't talk about is the ellipse equation. Notice it's x squared plus y squared. Kind of looks like the circle, but it's equal to 1. And the x squared is over a squared, the y squared is over a b squared. And then, yes, you're going to need to find the foci, you're going to need to find the center of the ellipse, and what's called the eccentricity, but we'll get on to that. For right now, those are the 4 different types of conic sections, and pay attention to what the equation, we're going to be working on recognizing when you see an equation, how to quickly know which type of conic section we're dealing with.